Где твой микрофон?
Не подвесишь, ты тоже вот так да.
Все, готово. I think 2025 they predicted $10 trillion market.
The company that produces firmware
Okay.
is fully responsible for this.
What is happening with the cars? Hi everyone, we are happy to welcome you in our weekly podcast series with my colleague
Ivan.
and Alexandra from Staex. So as you know and watch us, we are picking up some different topics around IoT, and because we as Staex are working in the IoT space, happily cover them with our experiences. And today we're going to discuss the article on the Wired magazine, which has been published in August last year, and this has been an announcement from Panasonic, and the title is Panasonic warns that Internet of Things malware attack cycles are accelerating. So we think it's a very important topic. It's important to talk about why this is happening, and we surely have had discussions already about security of IoT, but we just thought it will be extremely interesting to to cover this topic again and discuss why this is happening. So my first question will be, what are your first thoughts about on reading this article or thinking through the acceleration of IoT attack cycles? Why this is happening first?
From what I know, I have only read the title.
Okay, fair enough. So I will guide through the article itself.
Yeah, as usual, we talk from our experience. We don't share anyone's opinions.
Right.
It's mostly what we learn from our prospects, from our clients, and from our friends from the industry. So why we have malware attacks that involve IoT devices? We have them because IoT devices are not secure by default, and we talked about it some videos ago.
Right. We know that connectivity for IoT is very complicated. You have to deal with a lot of DNS issues, firewall issues, port forwarding issues. So please subscribe to our channel where you can learn more, where we also cover the latest hacks and how you can improve your infrastructure to save yourself in this very dangerous world of cybersecurity.
But I will repeat it here. So basically, the Internet of Things, it's like two entities. It's the Internet and the things, and they are not really connected, because you don't want your things on the Internet. If you have them on the Internet, it's easy to execute any type of attack on these things, on the devices basically, and they can be DDoSed. If your IP is not hidden, they can exfiltrate some data from your machines, because they use or they can leak some data occasionally if they use non-secure protocols, unencrypted, non-signed messages, etc., etc. And most of them use these protocols because these are legacy protocols that were designed for local area network, and which are fine for local area network, but were never designed for the internet. And we don't have any other protocols, except maybe for some vendor-specific alternatives which are safer. So what we did with Internet of Things, we exposed a lot of devices unsecured on the internet, and we for hackers, this is a honey spot, because they want this large number of devices to execute DDoS attacks, and of course they want to. They find ways to hack the firmware, to hack their web UI, to hack the HTTP interface of these devices, and to make them their own, so that they can execute DDoS attacks. So this is how it goes.
Right. Let me just give some numbers, because we were, putting some numbers together also for our studies. I think there was like one research where they put a honeypot in the network, like university group, and I think within the months, open internet, as you said, there have been 5,400 attempts to attack the. So they caught almost 5,400. Kind of malware requests or requests from hackers. And also another number that really shocked us, right? It's the volume of this market. Like by, I think 2025, they predicted $10 trillion market. That the black hats, basically, because it's the money that are received through these attacks, are actually accumulating. I think it's a tremendous number if we think, right, about how Internet of Things is being misused today. This is really crazy.
Yeah, and this is we can say that this is the biggest success of the Internet of Things. This is how it works. Unfortunately, it's like. Of course, the market dictates how it works. So, unfortunately, it works like this.
Right.
And as for the honeypots, I don't think this is really significant number, because our servers get much more attempts, and it's really like any server with the public IP on the internet is attacked.
Yeah.
But most of the time, if you use like minimal security, like public key authentication, it's secure enough.
Okay. But do you think, like now that we discussed this number, do you think, I don't know, like for maybe young developers that just start their job, is it so clear that on the internet there is such a volume of bad requests, attacks happening? Like basically, it's like a lot of sharks in the sea. Is it like, is it a known information that people are 100% aware of, or is it something that can be shocking at first?
If these young developers were taught by a good professor, they had good security course. They know it, of course, but even diligent students, I mean, even the people who know, they still make these mistakes, like using passwords for. Like weak passwords for your SSH.
That's true.
SSH connection, thinking that no one will ever access the server. No. Just wait a few minutes and you will be hacked.
Maybe is there still, I don't know, at least maybe some kind of zeitgeist? Is there still the misconception of like internet is somehow a secure space? Like, I don't know.
No, it's mostly secure if you use HTTPS and you're accessing only through the browser.
Right.
And don't forget to enable encrypted DNS, just to make sure that no one spoofs the address. And also DNS security, and also please close all your ports and use VPN, and after that you might be secure.
Please check. We have discussed DNS security and how to do this in the video below. So that was also one of the topics that we have discussed. All right, so thank you for the summary. This is interesting what is happening out there on the internet, and let us talk about a little bit about this acceleration cycles. Like, why do you think the researchers actually started to talk about it, that the cycles accelerate, which is somehow scary?
Well, from my understanding, they accelerate because the whole industry grows. The more devices you have, the more attacks you have, because these are very popular with hackers. I think the explanation is really simple.
I think also as a digest of what we discussed right now, maybe there is also a misconception of like, who needs my data sensor and who needs my IoT device, right? And I think maybe this connection that these devices are actually misused to target bigger fish, so to say, and then through this misusage, the device also can go, can just break, right? I remember somebody was asking me like, tell me what will happen to my devices after the attack, and I said, it's not like, it's not something linear, right? You can't predict. Sometimes it's breaking, sometimes not. So maybe also as a topic that we discuss here, just the understanding of these devices are being misused, and this can make a lot of damage, will help the whole industry to actually start eliminating these things. Also, coming back to the article, what they particularly cover here, because the article was based on how the researchers of Panasonic presented their work on cybersecurity at the Black Hat conference, and they talk about whose responsibility is this actually, and they kind of put a lot, because basically they also present their own solution and product, how to secure devices. And they kind of say it's actually on the manufacturer, but then there is also this problem that manufacturers not always have the access after they sold this device. So I feel also there is a little bit of this ownership, like, who owns the device, and what are your thoughts? Like, who's responsible by the end of the day for these things?
The company that produces firmware is fully responsible for this. This has been for everything, like from cars to smart lights. And if the firmware is vulnerable, then the producer of the firmware is responsible to fix this. If they use non-secure protocols, then again the firmware manufacturer is responsible. One edge case is when the firmware is open source and it's maintained by the community. It's like Tasmota. Say Tasmota
Everyone
firmware.
is responsible.
This is so it's more difficult to say who is responsible here. So if you bought the device with this firmware pre-installed, then you can update it yourself. And I think the client is responsible in this case, or whoever operates the device. And as I said, this is the edge case because you need to
it's not a mess.
You need to actually open the UI and click the firmware update button. So there is no automation there. But it's an edge case. Probably we need to educate people to do this, or automate this again in the firmware. But we are not there right now. So this firmware is really basic program that doesn't do much, and you on most microcontrollers you probably don't have enough memory and enough resources to actually automate this.
I actually like it what you say. This is the with the firmware manufacturer, full stop, because I felt going through this article, which I didn't really like this point, when they still are, not really sure. Like, kind of, it's a community effort, and IoT attacks are happening to everyone. So I would also be more happy in a world where the manufacturer is actually taking the full responsibility for this, and are not really saying that the users are somehow involved in this, etc. We covered a little bit the insecurity of IoT, and you mentioned something, doing examples of IoT, something about cars. So I actually wanted to ask you, what is happening with the cars? Like, we've heard some, or we've seen some articles, and we're happy to cover it in any of the next episodes, where students would hack into a car, and somehow it wasn't really clear, like, what is actually happening with cybersecurity of the cars. So what's with the cars? It's also somehow IoTs in the in the internet, or not?
Yeah, the car is more IoT than you think. The car, the automotive world is a whole another world. It's like a huge rabbit hole in which you go and never get back. Seriously, they have a lot of they use their own compilers, which are vetted by the industry.
Once you're there, you're done. You never come back.
Yeah, you either just drop everything and go to another industry, or you just learn to follow the rules. There's no middle ground, unfortunately. And this is, by the way, the response the usual response that we get from people who actually worked in this industry or working there right now. So why this is the whole another world? Like the average car has a lot of IoT devices inside. I forgot they are called the ECUs. Forgot how to translate this, but basically these are either microcontrollers or regular computers, like Linux-based, whatever, connected into the network inside the car, and this network is usually CAN bus based. CAN bus is a protocol and like the wire that it's like a bus basically. So you connect all the devices into the system, and then you can send messages from one device to another. Gradually this is replaced by the Ethernet, again patched for automotive, so this Ethernet is not compatible with regular Internet. Again, this is a whole new world, don't ask me why, and because I don't have an answer. Yeah, so gradually this is becoming like a separate network, like private network, local network, call it whatever you like, inside your car. Right now it's also a network, but it's CAN bus based. And the one nice feature about, or maybe not nice feature about the cars, is that they are made by integrators, and integrators are companies that buy every and each component from some other company, put them together, certify them for automotive use cases, and then just sell the car. This is from one point it's good. From one side it's good because you have all these components self-contained, so each manufacturer is responsible for each component, and not for others. Probably this is a good thing. But this could be a really bad thing, because each manufacturer tries to stuff everything in their device and do not consider other devices in the car. So you probably have several GPS trackers there, several like fuel trackers, whatever you put in this car, and it's not easy to replace them. Not easy to actually make this system work as a whole.
And does it have impact on security? Like what is our cars also part of this, like kind of cyber attack wave, or will they become targets in the future? Like what is?
Who knows? I think the cars are mostly safe right now because they have a lot of bureaucracy through which each component manufacturer has to come through before it can be included in the car, and most of the time they have up-to-date security. For example, like the usual way they hack the car is through the infotainment system, because this is the most let's say the most performant system in the car, because this is a computer, like regular computer running Linux. Of course, the components, like hardware components of this computer, are of like high quality. They use processors with like ARM processors with special modes for special security modes, and they can run separate processes on like in a separate security like mode, which is it's like security compartment, which is completely isolated from any other process. And this is hardware based, so it's the highest possible level or lowest possible level of this like isolation enforcement. So these systems are pretty advanced. However, you still have the internet through which you can probably try to attack the car. You still have the CAN bus, which is not encrypted by default, and again, each component manufacturer has to encrypt it basically himself. I don't know, maybe there are standards for this in the car, like some niche standards, but by default CAN bus is not encrypted.
And we also read, right, that they like the statistic for the last year that the telematic system started to experience a little bit more attacks also from the black market, right?
Yeah. This is the direct. This is caused by the fact that you have so many components produced by so many manufacturers, and usually if you have telematics component, telematics means that you transmit GPS data, transmit how much fuel was consumed, how much miles you traveled, and all such information. They usually upload it to the cloud. And this is where the problem exposes itself. If the cloud is hacked, then you do not receive this telematics data, and most of the time this data is used by truck companies, by truck drivers, and they have to. Some drivers even claim when such an attack happened, they have to log their GPS location by hand. So it's like going backwards.
Right, this is probably where the companies lose a lot of money, and this is where again the black hats can gain a lot of money for such attacks. And this is probably
yes, they hack the cars through the cloud. So this is horrible situation. It's probably this is what car manufacturers missed. So they are most of the car manufacturers, they are not software companies at all. Like most of them created their like spin-offs that are daughter companies that create software for the car. But again, you have a lot of manufacturers that are involved in the car. A lot of cloud providers, and you can't just cover everything.
All right. Also, please take a look at the video where we covered the differences between local and cloud, and where we talk a little bit about cloud being a trap, where we also discuss a little bit about security. And yeah, I guess this is it. Any final thoughts?
For the devices?
As always.
Well, IoT security is really difficult right now, but yeah, again, so if you, let's say if you want to be on the safe side, try to use either open source firmware or firmware that is actively maintained, and you have to actually update this firmware, because right now it's this process most of the time, like it's not automated, so it's on you.
You learned it yourself, it's on you today. Thank you so much for staying with us. As usual, subscribe to our channel, post different topics that we can cover in our next episodes, and we have really enjoyed spending time with you. Bye-bye. Staex provides the most secure public network where companies can connect their IoT devices easily and forget about their problems with cybersecurity once and for all.